This episode of the SwitchCast is produced by Melanie Reese, our honored patron and Switch Cat. Hey everybody, I'm KC.
And I'm Wave.
And this is the SwitchCast, the podcast for those catching the wave on the Nintendo Switch. And it is an exciting post-Christmas recording we're doing here. And we had a very special gift that JV has gotten to go free and run with Santa, and he's taken the week off. But we have a special gift dropped in our laps by Santa himself in the form of Mr. Wave here. Say hello to the folks, Wave.
Boom! What's good, everybody? This is Wave coming at you live from California, man. What's good, KC? How are you doing?
All right. And you live up to, this is pretty much how I thought you would sound on the Discord. This is the guy that every morning is just like wave emotes, all caps.
All
Woo!
day. That's right.
Happy morning, guys.
Yeah, because I think it's always good to start off your morning with a bit of a happy day, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, especially Monday, and just try to get people going. Even if I haven't had my coffee yet, man, I'm good to go. Just gotta bring it.
Yeah, no, I literally said, like, when I see, I got the feeling of this guy is a morning show radio host, and he'd be a great fill-in. Even though we went through, I had two planned hosts for this episode, and all fell through. So you were like literally a last minute, hey, doing anything tonight?
And you know what, man, I appreciate and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to do the podcast with you. I really appreciate it, man. It's awesome. I don't have that much experience in podcasts, but I did one before with a friend, and I was definitely nervous about that one. With one podcast under my belt, hopefully this one will be a lot better.
No, that's all podcasting is. It's never about being great. It's just about getting better, doing it till a point where you have good words every day you need it.
That's right. Practice makes perfect.
How was your Christmas? Did you get anything awesome on your Christmas wish list?
I did, KC. I did, but not in the form of physical gifts. So, as you know, we have SFLA, Switch Fest LA, coming at you live. We have a few of us who keep in contact with each other. Occasionally we would meet up throughout the year, and then it's been a while, been about 3 months or so. And then last Friday, it was really awesome. Met up at like a local joint in Baldwin Park, caught up with the guys. It was great. We had some fun, ate some food, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna go to Blackstone Out, which was our kind of our usual spot to play board games and stuff, because they're usually always open. But then there was one thing that happened where, they had Friday Night Magic, and it's a pretty big event. There were no tables for us to play on. So we're like, okay, well, what do we do? So, we looked up some of the Starbucks around the area, went to the local Starbucks. I asked really nicely for one guy to let us have the table because he was playing WoW. I was like, oh man, I don't want to be rude, but really need this table. But, I was trying to be as nice as I can. And he was really gracious and let us have the big table. And we had some 8-player local Splatoon. It was so cool, man.
Awesome. Very cool. No, it's great seeing how tight-knit everybody is there and that you get to, meet. But hey, if anyone else who's listening is on the West Coast and would like to check it out, definitely easiest way to find the Switch Fest LA group would be what, on the Discord? Do you have any?
Yeah, we just look us up on events and meetups, and we'll be there. We're just, if there's anything happening in the Southern California region, we'll let you guys know, and there we go.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. I do want to call out one thing I did get for Christmas. The only thing, nothing was directly Switch related, but I did get finally my hands personally on a battery pack that everyone's always asking about, suggestions for battery packs, and I've never actually had one personally, but now I can finally recommend one that we picked up. I got the Anker Power Core 2 20,000, and
20,000.
Yeah, that is a powerful beast, huh?
Sounds pretty massive.
No, it's a big number. I'll say it's not a big item though. I mean, it's pretty sleek shaped. It's a nice hefty. I don't know. It's about 6 inches long, but it's shaped nice that it fits easily in my backpack. And, it takes like 6 hours to fill the thing up. But so far, I brought it around. It charges my Switch super fast at the same time as my iPhone. And out of the 10 bars that it has when it's at full, bringing my Switch from 30% back to 100 and my phone from 30 back to 100 didn't even take off one dot on it. So this thing is packed to the gills. So I am very excited about the power I can now. I never have to really worry about it dying on me or forgetting to charge it while I'm sitting at work. So that is the suggestion I will give people from my personal experience here with that.
No, that's pretty good, man. It doesn't even take a dot. I mean, it's pretty efficient, I have to say.
Yeah. It is brand new. Maybe after 6 months, it'll start taking a dot or two out of it, but still, if it's supposed to get 5 or 6 full iPhone charges, and so I think that that means it should be able to deal with at least 2 or 3 Switch full charges. So that sounds pretty good there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's all you need.
That's more than I'll probably ever need before having to recharge this thing. Last thing in the meta I just want to touch upon. I finally want to say and officially announce that the next Switch Topics episode is officially going to be Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's a foregone conclusion at this point. I'm so immersed and obsessed with this game now that I just cannot wait to sit down and talk about it for about 3 hours with some people. And it's probably going to be the same format as we did last time with the Breath of the Wild Switch Topics, in that it's going to be a episode that I'm going to record with a bunch of people from the community who have beaten the game. Whenever we're all done with it, who knows how long that'll be, no promises yet. I'll try maybe even to get some of the DLC in. And then, so I'm going to be looking for people who want to join in that little book club discussion. And it'll be available on the Patreon page to patrons only. But it's probably going to be at least a 2 or 3 hour special. Maybe I'll break it up into 2 parts. So the next big thing we record just for the patrons will be that. But who knows when. So yeah, also we have, stay tuned guys, we have a pretty cool community pulse this week where we asked what you guys are excited for in 2018, and Wave and I are going to go over our top 5 list of things that got us hyped about the next year in the Switch. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you in the community pulse. Without further ado, let's jump into the game time, and let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff we've been playing.
Yeah, let's do it!
Let's let our guest lead the way here. Now, we have not touched upon Splatoon has had a lot of updates in the past few months, and we really haven't gotten to touch upon those too much, especially JV and I always trying to play the new games to review. But you've been pretty dedicated to it, and you've gotten your hands inky in a lot of the new features and modes, including the Clam Blitz. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the new things that you've gotten to play in there?
Yeah, so Clam Blitz, so we played it last week at our Switch meetup, and basically it's this game where 2 teams before you have to pick up clams, which are pretty much all around the stage, and then the goal is to use those clams, shoot them into this kind of hoop thing near the team's base, and just try to shoot as many clams as you can into the base. Pretty much there's a score that everyone starts at 100, but you want to try to get that score down to 0, and once your team gets down to 0, then you win the game. So there's an interesting thing that happens in Clam Blitz where if you pick up 10 clams, it transforms to a power clam, which you can use it to destroy the barrier around that opposing team's goal when you throw it towards it. And when you do that, when it breaks the barrier and you shoot other clams in, you'll get more points. So you just got to keep shooting clams at that point. So basically, yeah, you want to get the power clam first, break the barrier, and then shoot a lot of clams. And hopefully, by that time, you'll be able to get the score down to as close to 0 as you can. So it's pretty competitive. I really do like it a lot. It's definitely one of my more favorite game modes in Splatoon 2. So,
compared to the other game modes, are there specific strategies that players need to be aware of to excel in that, or does it have a very different feel than the other modes?
So based on the several times we played, several matches last week, I think what you should do ideally is have, I think, 2 people on defense and 2 people on offense. So basically you have 2 guys who are guarding your goal and, just trying to shoot anyone who tries to shoot clams at it, while you have 2 other people who are going to the opposing team's goal and, trying to make way to break the barrier. So I would definitely have one of those offensive players have a power clam, and then break the barrier, and the other guy just have clams just boom, 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 just like keep shooting at the goal. So that's what I would do. I'm sure that other people would have different sort of strategies, but that's the first thing I think about. Cool. Yeah.
Is there any downside to having a lot of clams on you? Like, is a player more vulnerable when he has them, or can they be taken? Can they be knocked off of him? I see the clams trail the players behind them while they're walking around. Are those something that the other guys can target, or is that just there for show?
So if you have the power clam, then everyone knows that you have a power clam. So you have to make sure that if you have the power clam, you gotta be more cognizant of your surroundings and just make sure that you get that power clam out of your chest and, either shoot down the barrier or put into the goal. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing about having the power clam, because, otherwise it'd be too powerful and,
Sounds like fun. Hey, maybe someday I'll be able to come down to the West Coast and try our sister event out myself one day. We'll see.
Yeah, you should. And I think Sergio is actually going to you guys in New York in January, so that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Oh, we'll have a little Switch exchange program here.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. All right. So I've got to get my hands on a couple of different games this week. First off, I got a copy of The Deer God. This is another one of those iPhone games that I was familiar with from before that has made this jump over to the Switch.
Ooh.
And this has another one of those pixely kind of graphics in the style of kind of like the Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery, like that kind of pixel graphics. Very beautiful. Mm-hmm. Kind of a cool little idea where you play this hunter who's he's a deer hunter, and in the intro you get attacked and I believe killed by a wolf.
Whoa.
And you then face the deer god, this big omnipotent looking spirit who wants to, I think, kind of teach you the error of your ways, and so you are reincarnated as a little calf, a little deer, and you play this platformer game where you run from left to right through these stages. You'll meet characters. Some of them are other deer who will give you powers like a double jump or something like that. But as you're running along, you have a few things to worry about. You have hit points. That's one thing. You also have a hunger meter, so you are constantly looking for things like berries or other kind of fruit that you can pick up and eat along the way, because once you starve, your hit points will start to drop. So that's always a concern of yours. And you have a stamina bar, because you can attack things, you can ram enemies. Eventually you'll get some very strange powers, like the ability to cast fireballs even and stuff like that.
Whoa,
so
dang.
You'll get some weird mystic powers as you go. But surviving is the main course of action, and you run, and it's kind of interesting. So as you get through different sections of it, the stages will loop around where you need to be. So let's say you get to this part where you're in this snowy field and there might be a mission there. There's like a family who's looking for a certain flower. And if you just keep running to the right, and maybe you'll find the flower along the way, but if you don't, it'll just loop around back to the house that you were at before, and you'll run through that area again until you find said item. And then if you eventually bring that item back to the family, it'll unlock the fact that, running forward will now take you to a new location. And that'll happen, throughout the game there. And there's a lot of places to explore. You'll go inside houses. Sometimes you'll find cool items or power-ups, or there'll be a hunter there who's going to try to shoot you. And you'll grow up as you go. As long as you keep surviving, you'll start to grow up. You'll become like a teenage deer, or eventually you'll have a big, rack on your head of a big what do they call that? On a deer's head.
Oh,
antlers.
Antlers, right.
Yeah, you'll have a big rack of antlers there. And, but there's really actually no real penalty for dying. You'll collect lives. And if you die when you have an extra life, you'll just come back as the full form you were. But if you die and you don't have any lives left, you'll go back to a calf form at the last place you saved, and then you'll have to grow up again. But it's kind of like you keep getting reincarnated as your own descendants as you go. So it's pretty cool. And it has this cool concept. And the jumping and the fighting is kind of cool. It does have a couple of bugs, though. I will say that these have carried over even from the previous ones. I actually got a little annoyed because I got stuck where I have solved a certain quest, but the game does not register that I've solved the quest, and I'm permanently looping. Yeah. And I'm just looping in this one section, and this guy keeps asking me for, like, this picture he wanted, and I have the picture, and I can't give it to him. And it's just stuck. No. Yeah. So it's a little annoying, and I think the only solution is going to be to restart. Not that it's like a long game, but it's just annoying. It is pretty cool so far. It is the kind of game that if you do like a nice straightforward jumping and fighting kind of like game, it is very fluid and has a very cool control system. Even if instant deaths sometimes feel a little like I didn't see that bed of spikes there,
I guess from what you were saying earlier, I guess the first thing I thought was Don't Starve, where you have to survive the night, but does it have any semblance to that, or is this a lot of just fighting and action? Like
it is just the straightforward. There isn't much. I mean, with that, it was more of an exploratory game in a 3D sense, or like, in more of a little bit of a 3D sense. This is purely a side-scrolling kind of adventure. And, and you will eventually, there are some parts of the game where the food is pretty scarce if you're going through a wasteland and you have to, like, stop getting distracted by killing everything, and you have to just be like, I just gotta run until I find some food.
Oh no.
Yeah,
because I thought of Don't Starve because then, like, because you have a certain meter where, like, if it goes down, like, you're dead, so.
Yeah, no, it does have that, I guess, that is a aspect of it that it would share with that game, like that. Yeah. And but like I said, it's a fun little jumping game. I do hope that those glitches are not super prevalent. I have heard a few stories very spread apart, but there are some people who have encountered similar glitches than the one I did there. But it is a fun and it is a pretty affordable little game, and it's a nice little time killer for short play sessions. Very good for the traveling gamer.
So how much is it to purchase?
$8. It's an $8 game.
Oh.
And that's not bad. I mean, like I said, it's a mobile game that came over, but it's a pretty decent one. And there is a little bit of this weird little morality system too. I'm not sure where it's going to pay off, but like based on what you kill, you build up like either good or bad karma. Mm-hmm. And I think it has an effect on the end game or what powers you can unlock, because I just see it keeping track of these 2 meters. So I wonder if it ends up like determining whether I become a redeemed hunter or if I am cursed forever.
That's nice though, because then you get multiple playthroughs, whether you're like a really good guy or just evil. Like for $8, I think that's worth it.
Yeah, that's true. I could see it being a good game to play over again. The other game I got to play is Superbeat Xonic. This is a rhythm game. Okay. And are you a fan of the rhythm genre?
I did play Bit Runner. That was the first rhythm game I played besides Dance Dance Revolution.
Okay.
But is it kind of like Bit Runner? What? Tell me more about this game.
Well, it's more along the lines of the pure rhythm games, like a Guitar Hero or or what's the one that you mentioned, like a DDR style of game.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about Guitar Hero. Oh man, I used to play that all the time back in college with my housemates. Yeah, like I never played Guitar Hero before, and I was like, oh man. So then we got a bunch of got a bunch of guitars, and we played and tried to get to expert level, and we just started with that 2 and 3, and then we got Rock Band, but then unfortunately the fad died for a while and I stopped playing.
I getcha. Well, that's I mean, other than the lack of any kind of peripheral, it does feel like that is the closest game to this one. Because it has the beat tracks coming from the, the background, and they come towards the foreground, but they come out in, a circular kind of like different directions. And you'll either hit one of the buttons on the left Joy-Con or the buttons on the right Joy-Con, or you'll flip the controller, the joysticks, one way or the other, depending on where the beat is, which direction it heads. You might hold some of them, the standard stuff for those kind of games. Also kind of resembles a bit of the, I want to say Voice, in that it has a lot of that. Yeah. It has some of that like anime style music, like stuff that would be at the beginning of it, or kind of like idol style music. But unlike that, and it has a pretty good mix of house music, like real trance kind of stuff, English speaking pop music, and some heavy metal tunes too. So it has a pretty good spread of music genres in there. It also has a cool feature. It has this DJ feature where you can unlock different avatars that give you different bonuses. So you might pick an avatar that just gives you more hit points so you can get through a song even if you make a lot of mistakes. Ones that give you bonus XP, things like that. It's a kind of a cool little side feature for it.
That's awesome. And especially the variety of music that's there. I think it'll be really awesome to play.
But what I was really focusing on was the controls itself here for this game kind of give me a little bit of a problem with this one. I did not care for the, how the Joy-Con has the asymmetric buttons, like the some are on the top right and some are on the bottom left on your left side. Yeah. I find that really hard to deal with.
Man.
I have a hard enough time keeping the beat with its like, okay, top right, bottom left, this button here, that button there, hold this, flick that. It's really annoying when like the buttons are not symmetric in my hand, where it's like, I know these are the buttons and here are the joysticks. And it's like, oh, right, joystick is on the bottom on this side and it's on the top on this side. And it creates this very difficult asymmetry for me to overcome. However, there is an option that is perfectly viable that I found in case that bothers you. You can play this game completely with touch controls.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and using the touch controls, you can just forego those buttons and just tap the screen where the beats land. And you can do the little scratch where you have to scratch, like, drag it up and down. And it works pretty good. In fact, that's the only way I'm probably going to play this game. I cannot handle it with the controls. It just, whether it's the Pro Controller or Joy-Cons, it just, I can't handle that asymmetry. But that said, it is pretty good. So it is like Voice again, in that it has a very nice, totally just tablet without even the Joy-Cons on it play mode there. That combined with the nice music selection, it's a pretty good choice if you're looking for another rhythm game. There's not like a million of them. Is it my favorite? I still think I prefer Voice's style, but I think some people who had a problem with the way Voice threw curveballs, or like you couldn't see what was coming, the way they would like mess with you, they got annoyed by its style of challenge. I think this, it's always predictable. You can always see what's coming. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of reacting. So I think it might appeal to people who weren't quite clicking with Voice, and maybe those who want less of a J-poppy kind of soundtrack.
I see. So do you find it that people should play with the screen more so than the Joy-Cons, like, to start off? Or should they start the Joy-Con to see if they got a feel of it? If not, then just use a touchscreen.
I would say try it out with the Joy-Cons first and see if you have the same problems I did. Not everyone will be thrown off like me, but I do feel like it's going to be something that more than a few people might encounter. So yeah, try it first, but then if that doesn't work, yeah, I'd say switch this to a touchscreen. Granted, if you want to play this on your TV, touchscreen will not be an option. Not that this has to be played on a TV for any real reason. Yeah. It is a perfect, again, another good portable game. But yeah, if you're looking to play this on a big screen with the nice graphics and blast it on your sound system, you're going to have to use that controller mode.
Yep, you sure do.
So overall, it's still a good game in a genre that is not saturated on the Switch yet.
That's cool. And how much is it on the the store?
That is a $40 game.
Whoa. Okay. That's
Whoa. That's what games? Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, that's a physical. It's a physical game. It's not just on the eShop.
Oh, okay.
So that is a game you can get straight up on the as a cart. So anyway, that's what we've been playing this week. I also tinkered around with that Lost Sphere demo, but I haven't really gotten all the way through it. I just kind of got a taste for it. I'm not sure if you took a look at that yet yourself.
I have it downloaded on my Switch, but I haven't gotten around it. But I heard people saying that it's kind of hard to get started with. Like, they just expect you to know what to do from the get-go. Is that true? Is it just
I was a little surprised at how en media res the demo is. It is... I mean, they give you a quick little tutorial on some of the features, and it's not an overly complicated game. There's just a few details about what was going on that I was not sure of. It does have this cool system where the characters have been jumping back and forth between mecha mode, like they jump into these like robots, and you have these like armor suits that you can switch between either outside of battle or in battle, and they have obviously some really powerful abilities, but they use up a special resource that's pooled amongst all your characters. So it's like an MP that's shared by everybody. So if someone uses it and they want to use all their attacks, you might run out of this, and then another character can't use their special attacks because everyone else used all theirs. So it's a very tight resource that you have to use, so you can't just blow through every battle with these things. But it's pretty cool. It has a lot of positional aspects in the combat system where attacks hit either everyone in a straight line or, everyone in a swiping range and like a semicircle around you. So there is a lot of that positional aspect that I found pretty intriguing. I got a little taste of the story. It seemed kind of cool how it was about like the world's pieces are just disappeared. Like just swaths of the world are just like ripped out as if it was like erased, and you have to find memories to like bring them back. And
right.
You solve a few puzzles like that. And it's pretty cool. I didn't have time to beat it all because I wasn't, I'll probably wait till the game comes out to really engage in it. But it's interesting. I'm still preferring Xenoblades as my RPG of choice, but it looks like another interesting Square title.
It sounds like an updated version of I Am Setsuna in terms of the combat. Would you say that's fair? And
it's more mobile. I Am Setsuna used the combat kind of similar to Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger, right?
Yeah, and it had a few other little things, but in that, your positioning was based on who you attacked mostly. It wasn't super about running around and making sure your characters were in a certain spread out formation or tight and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's in the same genre, I'd say, of combat. All right, so let's go over and let's hit the news rundown.
Okay.
And then we'll go and talk about our 5 things that have got us excited for 2018.
Yeah, let's go.
News rundown, and here are your headlines. First off, we have a bit of a delay reported. Not 100% factual, but on the Wall Street Journal, they reported that Nintendo is delaying the rollout of 64 gigabyte Switch game cards, and we'll probably not see those until 2019, which means we'll probably still be seeing games doing that thing like Resident Evil does, where it's like most of the game is on one cart and then you have to download more, or you'll have to download a bunch once you buy the game onto a memory card. Again, it's annoying. It's something that would be nice with these bigger cards, but might as well settle in, guys, because it sounds like that's going to be the way things are going to be for at least the rest of 2018.
I think it'll be okay for now, just because, I would rather have them take their time with this and be a success than have it released, have this be done by midway next year and mess it all up. So I don't think it's a big deal breaker for now.
Yeah, I think people are getting used to the idea of having the memory cards and just doing this thing. It's just always one of those points that, when they compare a Switch game to, let's say, the PlayStation or the Xbox version, it's just one of those little annoying things they get to point out that gives the Switch version a little bit of a minus compared to those things. But they just said, that it's just due to technical issues. So we'll hope they work it out as soon as they can.
Cross my fingers. Here we go.
Yep.
And our next headline, the Super Mario Odyssey soundtrack coming to iTunes tomorrow and the CD collection next year. So let's do the Odyssey.
Yeah.
So you'll be able
really filling in for JV by singing. That's coming out today, actually, on iTunes, because by the time this comes out, it'll be the 28th.
Oh, there we go. It'll be today.
Yeah.
Also, the physical collection for Japan will be out next year on the 28th of February.
Yeah, it has a full CD soundtrack version of it.
Right. There's not any news about the Western release for the CD collection, but we would expect it to come sometime next year. So we'll keep you updated.
Yeah. So the iTunes soundtrack is about 12 different tunes, including a couple of variations of Superstar and Bowser's Castle and a couple other highlights from it. But the full soundtrack,
136. Ooh, man, that's a lot.
136 tracks. That is a lot of Mario music. I don't even remember there being that many tracks in the game, but there's also the variations of the tunes as well.
Oh, I'll get my computer ready. I'm good to go for the
I haven't bought a soundtrack in a long time, but
yeah.
In the updates, ARMS 5.0 is now live, and it brought with it, we finally saw the full-fledged reveal of the new character, Dr. Coil.
Ooh, Dr. Coil.
Has anyone used Dr. Coil in your ARMS playing as of yet?
I gotta be honest with you, Casey. I don't have arms anymore. Oh no! Oh no! I feel so bad.
What do you mean not anymore? Did you only rent it, or did you sell it, or?
I had it for a while, and then I had to choose between arms and Pokken. And I know you want to play Pokken, but so I got Pokken. I traded in arms, and I got Pokken.
Oh, you're a trading kind of guy. Okay.
I'm a trading kind of guy. That's right.
No, yeah, that's cool. I thought this character looked really cool in the trailer we saw. It was just this maniacal, laughing, mad scientist it looked like, and I didn't realize it was a woman at the time. And she looks really cool. She's always floating, and she looks like she has an invisibility power. When she goes into block mode, she can turn temporarily invisible to ambush enemies where they're not expecting. And it also looks like she does that automatically when she gets up off the ground, so people don't know exactly where to attack you on recovery.
That's pretty awesome. And what's also awesome is her green hair. I love green, as some people might know, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, she looks really cool. The green hair, like real mad scientist-y. And also, though, I will, with a little bit of a heavy heart, we have to announce that this marks the end of the line for new content to ARMS. Now this is it. So no more characters, but it is pretty full. It is finished. There will still be the special events like the party crash they have every so often. There'll be tournaments and all that stuff. But yes, the game is finished. These are the characters. Now the metagame begins.
I mean, and we have a decent number of characters anyway, and I mean, as long as they're able to balance them and update them the right way, I think everybody will be satisfied. So
that's true. That's still a possibility. Updating them and tweaking them and making sure everything's balanced and fun.
Yeah, because you could argue that if you have too many characters, I mean, that's a lot to master and to fight against. I mean, if you have I think there's a good number. I think we have a good number of characters. So anyway,
yeah, definitely. In a related bit, they also announced that there is no more Breath of the Wild content as well. That game is officially complete. And so do not expect any more DLC to be popping up. But you know what? What a way to end it with that motorcycle and...
Yeah, no, I mean, Breath of the Wild is a really good game. For anybody who gets a Switch, that's like the first game that I would recommend all day.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a new Splatoon 2 weapon that came out in this update, the Squeezer, which looks like a champagne bottle, which I'm guessing is New Year's Eve themed. Mm-hmm. Go ahead with the Xenoblade one. You said you want to cover that?
Yeah, sure. So there's a new update, guys, 1.1.1 for all players. There's some awesome bug fixes. There's an easy mode for Tiger, And when you press the X button, the skip travel screen will open the map to your current location. And actually, when I was playing with Xenoblade, I found this to be a really good improvement because when I looked at the bigger map, it was too big and it was like,
it was a mess.
Confused. It was crazy. I was like, oh man, I wish they had an update. And boom, the latest update. It's a lot more streamlined. I'm pretty satisfied with it, and it makes my exploring a lot more enjoyable for the times that I want to know where I am on the map. So it's pretty good.
It's better. I still think the biggest problem with finding my way around this game is the fact that there are no 2D planes. You are never just going across a flat surface like most games. Every place is so three-dimensional, and there's layers on top of each other and caves and all that sort of stuff. So that's I really think this game needed to have a 3D map for finding my way around. I still get lost, but yes, the scaling of the map is way better. It's looking at things. It does help out sometimes.
Like on the upper screen or on top of the screen, you're trying to find you're trying to get to the quest, and there's like a down arrow. You have to go down a floor, or you have to go up a floor. It can get pretty confusing. So,
and as for the Tiger update, did you have a hard time with Tiger?
I did not. Actually, you know what? I'm one of those guys who, I start playing the story game, and I just try to keep playing over and over until I get it perfect. And I did get a pretty decent score. I think it was like 21,000 for Tiger Stage 1. I'm not at the point in the story where I can get Stage 2 yet, so I can see why it's kind of hard.
I've heard a lot of people talk about not being able to get far in there, and that this is just a mini game that's in there, but it's kind of required because it's the only way to get power-ups for one of the characters. I think that they intentionally didn't explain a lot of how the game works and its mechanics. So people didn't even know that you could attack the monsters in there, and a lot of other misconceptions about it. So I think that's really what made the game hard, not necessarily its actual difficulty, just the lack of explanation on how it works. So, but hey, whatever. If it works, if people can get more accessible parts for this character now, I guess that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an old school feel because you're thrown there. It's like, okay, what do I do? And then you just start playing, and then just learn from trial and error. Basically, I think with Tiger though, there's a pro and con with having Tiger being the only way to power up a character. I mean, it's good that like, okay, this is the only way I can do it. I know what to do, but the drawback is that it's not as suspenseful because then, when you play the game, you want to like explore and then like, oh, okay, I got a new power up, sweet. That's sort of like surprise. So I think in terms of that, like the Tiger kind of, drowns that out a little bit, but it's still nice to know that, hey, this is a very for sure way to power up my character. So. Mm-hmm.
Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, they also got a difficulty update. Apparently 2 of the stages in the game were too much of a spike in challenge, and a lot of people hit a wall at them. So these 2 stages have been nerfed a bit.
Okay.
And also, when you lose, they throw in some pro tips to help you understand the game better in case you are losing and dying a lot.
I haven't gotten that far into the game, but I mean, that would help me for sure. I mean,
it just reminds me of like Final Fantasy Tactics had the biggest, worst example of this ever. There was one boss in that game where it's just like this wall that people would hit and just could not beat this like halfway through the game boss. And what was worse was you had to save, or you had the opportunity to save before you fought him. But once you saved, you could not go back to like the villages and get better armor or go level up anywhere. If you saved and you didn't have a save from earlier in the game, that's it. You have to figure out how to beat this guy at this level and with this equipment, or you're just stuck.
Oh man, that's too bad. Oh man.
Yeah, but hopefully, I don't think this one's as bad as that. But
no, hopefully not.
Wonder Boy is the latest game to get video capture support, so I expect to see some tweets, everybody, with some videos of that if you are still playing this one.
I still have to finish that game. It's pretty fun. I like the old school feel, the 2D platforming. It's always a good time.
Yeah. Slain, Back from Hell, has an update just to help its visual performance hit 60 frames per second, which is very important because this is a game that is really based on its graphics. It's pixely art, but it's very horror and bloody and gory. And if it doesn't flow well, it just doesn't sell the horror. And finally, Minecraft is getting a Norse mythology update, a whole pack with all sorts of Asgardian characters and locations to visit. Pretty cool for people who are still, digging around there. A million of you are.
Especially Rin, I'm sure she's playing this quite a bit.
Absolutely. Down the pipe, we have Super Meat Boy coming January 11th. It also includes a new race mode where 2 players will compete head-to-head to get through a stage as fast as possible.
Nice. Oh, man. That'd be good to play.
Are you familiar with the old Data East games?
Unfortunately, not as familiar. So could you remind me a little bit about what it's all about?
I'm trying to remember some of the titles of them, but they just announced 20 of them will be coming to Nintendo Switch. These are the guys who did Bad Dudes, Burger Time, Karate Champ Rampage. Oh, Rampage, it was probably going to be one of these. That's becoming a movie.
Oh, sweet.
So we'll see exactly which ones are here. We have a game announced for 2018 called Cosmos Defenders. This is a weird little, I want to call it a 2D shooter game, except you're running around these planets, kind of like Mario Galaxy style, where you run around in these like 360 or 180 degrees.
That's pretty awesome.
But it is cooperative, and players will be running around fighting off enemies on different sides of this planet, and you might run through portals that take you to other planets as you do it as well. Kind of a cool looking little title.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I'd be interested in this one. I'll put this on my list. And last but not least, down the pipe, we have Disc Jam. Oh yeah, this one is quite a doozy. I really like this one because it's a pretty unique game where you throw discs, and it's kind of a competition sort of thing. I played it at I think it was either E3 or PSX, and it's just really fun. Like, you can throw a disc like sideways or like with a curve, and you're trying to throw it to the opposing team's goal. So I think it's a pretty awesome game that I think could get a lot of traction, like just as much as Rocket League. So looking forward to that, and I'll be keeping up with that one for sure.
Very cool, very cool. New releases, December 28th, today, we have SteamWorld Heist.
And January 4th, we have Pick-a-Pix Deluxe and Stickball, a dodgeball adventure deluxe.
Actually, this is probably the shortest list we've had to read in a very long time, but I think it's because Christmas just hit. Everyone who wanted a game out just had it out, and now they're kind of taking a breather. All right, let's go and shift over to the Community Pulse, and let's take on the big topic of this evening, what we are most excited about once the year turns to 2018. 5 from each of us. Let's go.
Here we go. Who starts?
So we asked you guys to tell us all about what you are hyped about, and we're going to read off your answers. But first, Wave and I are going to read off our top 5 list. And why don't you kick us off with your number 5 most anticipated Switch thing for 2018?
All right. Thanks, KC. So we got the 5 things for 2018. The first one I gotta say is Fire Emblem, not the Warriors, even though it's a pretty good game itself, but the Fire Emblem, the actual tactical strategy game. I love Fire Emblem. I played the ones from GBA from a long time ago, and just to have it on the Switch, and I still gotta finish Conquest on the 3DS, but man, it would be quite an honor to play that when it comes out.
My number 5 is actually, this is my curse. I have been listing this as one of my most anticipated things for maybe 5 years now, 2 podcasts ago, like totally different shows. I have been waiting for Phantasy Star Online 2. Because
man,
I've been waiting for this to come to the West since it was announced for the Vita and the PC. And that was my podcast at the time, was covering just portable systems like that. And every year I wanted it to come out. This is the MMO action RPG. It has that sci-fi fantasy mix that I eat up. And Phantasy Star Online 1 was possibly one of my favorite MMOs of all time as well. And I still kind of kick it on a private server now and then. But that I had just given up on this. I was like, all right, it'll never be. Forget it. And then they announced it going to the Japanese Switch. And I'm like, oh, now I have to hope that it can come to the West. I still can't get this out of my system.
You gotta cross your fingers, or maybe send an email.
maybe. So yeah, Phantasy Star Online 2.
Okay.
All right, you're number 4.
My number 4. And a lot they've heard me talk about this quite a lot. F-Zero. Oh man, it'd be so cool if they had F-Zero for 2018. Like I just want when they announced the Nintendo Switch Online to be ready to go by fall, I'll be like, I'm hoping maybe they could be like, oh, well, by the way, we have the SNES version of F-Zero out right now and a new F-Zero game. I'm like, oh my god, that'll be awesome. But I don't think it's going to happen, just because of Fast RMX and how they're doing very well with that game. And what? It'd be so cool.
Honestly, with the SNES Classic just coming out, a lot of people are playing F-Zero again or playing it for the first time. And I think there is hope because it never got a good multiplayer version. The original SNES one was one player and
single player,
Yeah, and they made a sequel somewhere down the line that had multiplayer, but it just wasn't the same. It didn't feel like what F-Zero was. So I think it's a game that's been begging for a real Switch, update with multiplayer and online.
Yeah, and I mean, I know there's games like Fast RMX and Redout, which is coming out soon, or if not already. Just to bring the fans back. I mean, there's always those. We're always welcoming an F-Zero game, so
yeah,
I can only cross my fingers for that one.
My number 4 is Dragon Marked for Death. This is a Nindie title. It is the 4-player, side-scrolling action game with different classes, cool art style. Everyone gets these different dragons, and you have different roles. It looks like fast-paced, kind of like an old-school brawler game, but more based on the 2D platforming. And I think it just looks really awesome. I love more of these 4-player co-op games, and this is the most exciting-looking one on the horizon. I really want to pick it up, and I want to find what role I fit in and find a bunch of people to bust through this. It actually looks like it has more of a story. Like, I liked Nine Parchments a lot. We had fun playing that multiplayer, but it really didn't have, like, a story. The characters didn't have a lot of character. They had uniqueness, but they didn't feel like there was a story to any of them. And I feel like this actually feeds into that. Like, there's a story, and the characters have very distinct roles, and it's a little more faster-paced action. So, Dragon Marked for Death.
Sounds pretty good, man.
All right, you're number 3.
My number 3 is, I don't think anyone would predict this one because there's not a lot of people who know about this game, but hopefully the company that makes it would do something about it. I'm hoping for Trails in the Sky for the Switch. Now Trails in the Sky is a
Is it Trails in the Night Sky?
No, Trails in the Sky.
Oh, it's just Trails in the Sky. Okay.
Yeah, Trails in the Sky. Or actually, excuse me. It's The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. So it's a 3-part series. It's already out on Steam and PS Vita. And it's one of my favorite RPG series of all time. Great music. Pretty jazzy music, I have to say. Which I'm always loving. And the story, the characters are really memorable. And if they would release this on the Switch, I would play it over again. I think I will. Granted that I still have to finish number 2, or the second chapter, which is the second game in the series, and there's a third game which I haven't started yet. But I would love to play this on the Switch, so that would be awesome if that were to happen. I would lose my cool.
Very cool, very cool. And justifiably so. My number 3. It's a title that, again, it's another one that's begging for people on the Switch to get their hands on, and it's so close that we could taste it. It's a game that, we feel like it's there, but for some reason it's not on the Switch yet. And it's the kind of game that I really need, because I played this on 3DS for over 100 hours each one of the games, and there's a group of people on here who are like just my partners that go into battle, and we just know how to fight together. And this is Monster Hunter. I don't care which one. I don't care which one.
Any Monster Hunter, right? Any
Monster Hunter, whether it's a new title, bring one of those ones that, that are only in Japan or never came to the Switch here. Just bring any of them to us in the West, and we will make it happen. And because it's just a game that there's just such a strong culture around. Like everyone knows that I play with knows a role really well, and if I've played with them a couple of times, we know how to work as a team, and it just feels great because we pick up each one and we just know our role. Like, I'm one of the few people, I like to be a gunner, and I know how to support, whether you're a dual wielder, whether you're a great sword user, or you're a lancer. I know what I have to do to make you better. And if you know how to be a lancer, I see them. They master their weapons, and it just feels really good to not just be good at how I play it. And it's a game with a really high skill cap, and it's very hard to get into. But once you get into it, it feels so good to not only play great on your own, but to play great with other players who know what they're doing, or teach other players. I love training new players and seeing them become great.
Count me in. I would like to learn how to play. I haven't played a Monster Hunter game ever, so
we'll have to do a training course. Honestly, I will do a training course with people. It does take that. You need to go in there and have someone mentor you. As I was mentored when I first started playing it, and I had a friend who taught me, and one of my other friends who actually plays it, who's like, if I ever play 2-player, there's one person I play it with he's a long sword user, and we have really good 2-player chemistry, but it's because we learned how to play it together, and that's just, how we trained.
That's always one of the best things, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. All right, now here's an interesting thing. Your number 2 is my number 1, and my number 2 is your number 1.
That's right.
So, we're going to skip number 2s, and we're going to go straight to number 1s, and you can announce first your number 1 thing that is my number 2.
Project Octopath Travelers!
Yes!
Oh, man! Playing the demo from start to finish with both characters, especially the dancer, I really enjoyed it, and I even giving the feedback. I even enjoyed giving feedback to the developers, and I just can't wait for this game to come out. Like, I'm a big RPG fan, and all the things about this knocked out of the park. The graphics, the 2.5D style, the story, especially with the dancer. I mean, it's dark, but just enough to keep me going. I'm stoked. I think it's gonna be great.
I totally agree with you. Xenoblade Chronicles right now has rekindled my RPG passion. I have not played an RPG that has gotten me my heart burning like this in a while. And while I love Xenoblade Chronicles right now, I do feel like it's still not a game totally honed to my taste, whereas Project Octopath is very finely tuned to my taste in RPGs, not only in aesthetics, and I believe it's beautiful, both in the pixel art and the character art, but the tone of the story, the seriousness of it, the lack of fan servicey, like the way that characters, even very mature or adult themes in it, are portrayed seriously, in a straightforward manner, not in a anime jokey kind of way. And that totally appeals to me. And I loved everything they teased in that trailer. And even mechanically, I feel like Octopath, it stays very pure to an old school RPG, but it just adds enough complexity with that extra, that system with the points, not going over the top like, again, Xenoblade, which is great. I'm not dissing it. It's just this is more.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. This is more finely honed to my taste, where it's just enough to add tactics. There's depth, but it not being like 100 complicated systems to learn on top of each other,
Yeah, it's like teaching an old dog a couple new tricks, but not too many, just enough to get you going. And I totally agree with you on that. I know with me with Xenoblade, this is my first Xenoblade game, and it is a little complicated, but I am starting to get used to it, so I totally understand what you're talking about on that.
Okay, so my number one, your number two.
Here we go.
I mean, look, this is something I think is on a lot of people's list, and anyone who knows me probably can guess, because if you don't know, before this podcast, before 5 podcasts ago, I did a Pokemon podcast. Ooh. And that is the dearest series to most of the people here. So obviously for 2018, I'm hoping for, I don't expect it to come out. I just want an announcement. I want a teaser trailer for the next Switch Pokemon game in 2018.
I would too, and like even if it's like a minute and 30 seconds, which I hope it is, like just to see some gameplay or even some screenshots, like I would not mind at all. I mean, Pokemon has been such a big part of my life when especially growing up, and trying to be the best it never was. I mean, just the concept of, I want to be the very best. I mean, just all those things, just that sort of nostalgia, and, being able to rekindle, the old memories, when you're playing with your friends or you're trading with, from Game Boy to Game Boy with the little cord. I mean, that, this is going to be so important for the Switch to have a new Pokemon game. So I think they'll do a great job, and I'm crossing my fingers for this one. But yeah, man.
Yeah. And as long as it takes some advantage of the Switch and does something interesting. Actually, funnily enough, just today there was a video release. There were some rumors about some of the information leaking about people who are already working on this game. Again, These are rumors, but they're from decently credible sources, talking about the plot. Someone even mentioned it has something to do with the nature versus human advancement aspect of the story, and what region it might be in. Again, I won't say too much because I know some people want to be totally surprised by that. So,
right.
But there are some things. Supposedly, the script has already been worked on for this, if these rumors are true, which would be very interesting to see, just because it means that, people are working on this. It's something that we might hear about this year. Fingers crossed.
One for the fans. I hopefully there'll be something, for everyone who loves Pokemon, or for people who played the first gen and, kind of gave up after that. I mean, which I know a lot of people who are like that, but, hopefully this will bring back, everybody into the fold. So
yeah, I mean, look, there's not a lot we can say because there's nothing we know. This is just a total speculation thing. It's not like the other games we listed that exist and that we can really pin down what we're looking for. I'm open to anything. I just want them to do something really different and new with this generation, if it does come to the Switch in the near future.
I hope so too. This is the best opportunity for the Pokemon Company to do this, and one for the books. So
yeah,
let's hope.
Okay, so we're going to read off your answers to what's most anticipated, and why don't you kick us off there?
I sure will. With that being said, we got this one here from Danny Kenichi Avalos. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. An open world Pokemon. Also excited for Kirby. Oh man!
Yes.
I love Kirby! Oh my gosh. I remember the days of Kirby Superstar, man. If they have that for the Switch, I will lose it again.
Aldrin Cornejo wrote, I'm hoping for Battle Chasers to end its delay and wonder if Luigi's going to have a new mansion. That's actually a pretty good point. He hasn't had a sequel in a while, and Luigi's got he's got a little cult following. Mario just had his big game, a little buffer in the same world, just something to fill out some time until the next big Mario title comes out. I think that'd be a great revival.
Or that'd be good. Or Luigi can have his own island, or or his own planet. I mean, that'd be good. We got Benjamin Lavelle says the Nintendo Netflix-like service with all their backlog of games, finding out what the online is actually about, and the return of Samus. Yeah. That's right. That was something that I totally forgot to mention in my top 5. Well, it'll be an honorary top 6, or honorary 6. But I think all of us have been, just trying to anticipate what they're going to do with their service, whether because I think they mentioned how they'll have, a couple games for free per month, or I mean, assuming that you pay the 1 year subscription, but you'll have couple games from like the NES or SNES. I mean, that'll be awesome. We need information like Pokemon. That's all I gotta say about that.
Federico de Obeso had an interesting one. I hope they bring Jackal, that old Jeep game from NES.
Oh, yeah.
Tying into Virtual Console wishes. But yes, I remember this one from NES days. In fact, Angry Video Game Nerd did a pretty good video of it not too long ago.
I actually met Angry Video Game Nerd. I'm such a huge fan of his. Oh, man. I still have the picture from 5 years ago. Met him at like a local GameStop. Or actually, no, it wasn't GameStop. It was like a local game store in LA, and oh my gosh, it was one of the best days of my life.
Very cool.
Oh, man.
Next up.
The next one, Tracy Pate says, Monster Hunter, yeah! I know you'll be excited for that one.
Yes. That they are amongst my regular group of Monster Hunters and Huntresses, and yes, we will be totally diving in if that does come to the Switch in any form, which I can't see why it shouldn't. Why wouldn't it? Has to. They have to. It's just stupid.
They have to. I mean, it's a requirement.
Another requirement, Jeff Kappenberg. Animal Crossing on Switch, which is definitely a thing that will actually happen in 2018, right?
It will. I hope it will. I mean, you have Pocket Camp, which a lot of people are playing, and it's pretty popular now, so I think people are stoked for that.
I still stand by, if they do make one for the Switch, it will tie into Pocket Camp as some sort of app that gives you extra features or ties into the game. It just feels like something they're doing, and I think Pocket Camp might be a way to warm people up and get them extra hype for a full-fledged Animal Crossing on Switch this year.
And that's a good strategy, and it'll get everybody ready to go. So with that being said, our next one from Larry Weber, he says, I'd like more sports games like an NFL football or NHL hockey game. That one is a pretty interesting comment. You got NBA 2K18, FIFA, those games are doing decently well. I think that, with more sports games in the fold, it will bring a lot more people into the mix for the Switch, especially those who used to play like, John Madden games and like from like Sega, Genesis and all that. And I know for NHL, like I have a friend who plays the NHL games on the PS4, so and he has a Switch too. So it'll be good.
It's just because that's a genre, sports games. It's something that I'll never bring it up because it's just not something that particularly interests me, but it is a huge facet of any system's fan base. And so it's great that they bring that up just because I will tend to forget that is a thing that people want and are looking forward to. So yes, definitely some more Switch sports games that brings in a lot of fans and brings in a lot of popularity to a system if they can manage to get more of these ones to take it seriously. Right now we had a few problems with the sports games that came out this year, so hopefully it'll perform and they can appeal with the portability and the online features for these people who are into that.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I know EA Sports has gained a lot of controversy, especially with Battlefront 2, but one of my earliest memories in terms of playing my first FIFA games was FIFA 11 with my housemates back in college, and it was just a good bonding experience and for me to learn a lot more about soccer and also that and the World Cup 2010 game too. So I'm always a fan of sports games, so I'm hoping for a lot for this one. So yeah.
And finally, Joshua Taylor wrote Yoshi for confirmed. But how about some more of those awesome multiplayer games in 2018, like Smash Bros. And F-Zero? I have a strong feeling Smash Bros. Is going to come out in 2018. Yes, Yoshi does look really cool, and a lot of people have been mentioning that as something they're really looking forward to. And yeah, F-Zero, I was on your list there. I think that has some little bit of momentum going for it.
Yeah, Smash would be my honorable mention for sure for one of the top things I'm anticipating. But yeah, I mean, Yoshi, oh man, Yarn Yoshi is so cute. I mean, if they have something like that for the Switch or maybe a new sort of Yoshi, that'd be awesome. I would love that.
All right, and that will close us out for this week. Wave, thank you for coming on here. Is there any website or something like that you want to plug before we go that you want to draw people's attention to?
If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Wave to High on Instagram. I always write lyrical rhymes all day, every day, albeit with, a couple exceptions for certain posts, but I'm always writing raps. I'm always writing rhymes. So
nice. You can also bask in his high energy excitement on our Discord chat, along with every other one of our community members. And link to that is in the show notes, along with our link to our Facebook group, another great place to join in, where you can leave comments, or you can just treat it as our forums and socialize. And our Twitter, where we post a few updates here and there, and like to engage that way. Patreon, though, is the big place to go. Patreon.com/theswitchcast. We only are able to do this show because of support from people like you who listen. And if you go there, you can pledge $1, $2, $5, whatever you want to us per month to keep the show going, help us do more content and create more great shows like this one. And we have some great updates on there, little extra behind the scenes stuff every week I like to post on there as well, so you can check us out. Again, patreon.com/theswitchcast. If you want a non-monetary way to support us, though, we really appreciate Apple Podcast reviews. If you go to Apple Podcasts and find our show, definitely drop us 5 stars there. It helps us go up in the rankings and gets more people to find us, and just snowball effect of getting us more popular and making the show more awesome.
Do that as soon as possible, and I know I will. I haven't yet, but I will.
What? Soon. You haven't yet? We had you on the show and you haven't left us a review.
Oh, no. I know.
Calling you out.
Oh, no. Well, you know what? You guys are always 5 stars to me, so let's leave it at that.
Thank you, HeatleyBros, for our awesome theme music. And until next time, everybody,
switch it up!